Hi, I'm Bill Lancaster, and I'm going to be your host for this video on form following the wood. You've probably all heard the architectural term form follows function. Well, you decide the function of a building, and then you build the building in its form to match that function. Well, that sometimes works with wood, sometimes it doesn't. What I've got here is an example where the form has got to follow the wood. We may start trying to turn out one kind of bowl or whatever object, and then find out you have to do it completely different because the wood won't let you do what you originally wanted to do. So I originally wanted to do a nice natural edge bowl. I've got some ambrosia maple that a friend gave me, and I made a mistake right away and turned the wrong side of this bowl. I carved off all the bark, and that was what I was supposed to be preserving. So then I had to convert it to doing a what they call a cut rim bowl, which is a regular bowl. And then as I got into it, I realized, oh, I've got a problem here too. So I'm going to show you what I've done, and also you're going to follow me today while I try to make something out of this that's going to look halfway decent. Be sure, by the way, to watch the lathe safety video that I've created. It's on my YouTube channel, William Lancaster 1243, and be sure to watch the safety video. I got my finger caught, that finger right there, in the grinder just for a split second, but boy, did it hurt. It got caught between the grinding wheel, which is an 80 grit, and the platform, and it just touched and bounced out. Thank goodness it didn't get caught in there. But please watch the safety video. As a friend of mine says, these machines have no conscience. They will just keep turning regardless of what gets caught in them, and the grinder would just soon grind off my flesh and bone as it will the steel. So be sure to watch that safety video. Now here's the what I've got to work with today. You'll see a very nice kind of form in some ways. It's got this nice clear ambrosia maple on it, and then I've got it kind of grain balanced, and you got this dark grain, and then got a little bark on the outside of it, which I've had bark before on the outside, and it does okay. But then you see I've got a flat spot, and I have got this pretty ugly looking chainsaw mark. And if you look at it over here, you'll see that I've cut right down to the beginning of that thing. So now the thing is, I've got to go in there. I'm going to hollow out the inside right up to that point and leave that and see what I've got. And then we may have to trim some more of it out. If I leave that, I'm going to have a very thick wall to my bowl. It's almost an inch thick. That's very thick for a bowl. So we'll see how it does. When I get to that point, I may have to change it over. And I also have this crack as a pith running through it. I just realized that after the fact. I've got a pith to deal with. So I may have to glue that closed or do something else with it. The wood looks wet because it is. The tree was cut in January, so the bark was down. It's a fresh tree, and then I tried to wash it out with water and detergent to get the anchor seal off this area, which I've gotten pretty much off. I may have to try a little more. We will see. So here we go. I'm going to try to get this camera pointed in a way that you can see well. And let me get this thing mounted, and we'll try to go from there. Let's see what we got. Now, what am I looking at here? Oh, that's pretty good. Get you point it up a little bit. Okay, let's try that. Okay. I'm going to set this to rest. I know this is flat because I have turned it flat. And I'm going to be using the David Ellsworth bowl gouge to hollow this out with. Get my bowl gouge and my face shield. Be sure you wear a face shield always. I've gotten hit with bark and chunks of wood to the point where I know the value of the face shield. Okay, let's see what I can do now. This should be able to turn this pretty fast. You always turn the speed down to 0 before you turn the lathe on. Spin it by hand, make sure it's not hitting anything. Turn it on, get the speed going slowly, and then bring it up to where you want it. And I want it to go pretty fast, because you get a better surface when you turn it fast. So I'm going to go pretty fast, because it's not causing the lathe to vibrate. So I can go right on up there. I'm at 600 now. 7. I'm going to turn it right there at about 8. It's a 776. And to start off with, I'm going to use a David Ellsworth gouge and a David Ellsworth roughing cut, which is you keep the shank horizontal, 45 degrees opening, and then you use that little corner of the tip to dig out the wood with. Here goes. And as I go in, I'm opening the gouge. And I can tell I need to sharpen this thing, because it is, and I've got the tailstock in the way too. Get the tailstock out of the way. It's not cutting the way it should, so I'm going to have to sharpen it. I've got the David Ellsworth jig for doing that, so that'll just take a minute. Alright, I'm going to take a few more cuts with this before I sharpen it. You get it what he calls the and then as you go in, you open it. What's that first position called? See, I'm opening the flute. He doesn't like having a hole in the middle of it. I do. In fact, I don't think I've got that hole to the depth that it should go. Yeah, this is what a roughing cut to begin with, and then you open the flute, and I have it almost wide open. You can see that. Now I can get that center point out just by going in here, and with an open flute. And what in the world am I doing? You go under it and come up, you tend to get it better. Let's have a look at this thing and see what I'm dealing with. Well, nothing in particular, but I am going to sharpen this tool. So I'm going to make a little dimple there, because I do like to have an indicator hole. So I'm just going to create a little dimple for the drill to go into. That'd be better. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to turn off the video while I do this, and be back in a minute. Bye. Okay, so I'm back now. I have allowed this blank to just sit all day yesterday and then overnight last night, trying to decide what to do with it. And actually I've come to like the chainsaw cut, and that's this part right there. You see the chainsaw cut. And so I had the choice of either trying to thin it from the outside, thin it from the inside. I didn't like the thickness of the sides of the bowl. You see how thick they are. about an inch. So, or thin it on both sides. And I've decided I'm going to thin it on both sides and kind of try to taper it down, and then curve the sides to a better shape. So they may be kind of outwardly bulged. So I made a mark, and what I would think would be the kind of the ideal thickness, and it's right there. See that little pencil mark? That's about a centimeter thick. So I'm going to try to carve this thing down to that thickness. I will keep most of this chainsaw cut, and I will carve the inside to be thinner. So I've put some CA glue on a couple of spots that I was afraid would crack. There's a pith down there, and I'm afraid there's going to be a pith over here. So anyway, that's where we stand. Now this morning I'm going to look at this wonderful pile of shavings. That's so satisfying, you know. That all came out of this bowl, inside or outside, I don't know where, but it's kind of satisfying to see all the stuff you managed to bring out of it. So you feel like you've done something, but you really haven't. But anyway, I'm going to put this camera on the camera stand and see what I can do with this thing. Are we looking at the bowl yet? Let me try to get it pointed at the bowl. Yeah, I think not. That's better. Get this light out of the way. Not too bad. Okay, I think we got it there. Put the face shield back on. I've got the compressor. It's already run. I'm going to just turn it off because I know what's going to happen. It's going to come on right in the middle of a presentation. So what I'm going to do is try to carve this thing down till I get to that line, and just carve it down this way, saving most of this saw cut that for some reason I have come to like. So let's get this thing over here. First thing I'm going to do is mark that spot right there that I like, and let's see if I can turn the blade down to 0, spin it, good, get it going a little bit, get my pencil on the mark right there, spin it slowly, right about there. Okay, now I'm going to take a thin parting tool and make a mark there, which is going to be my aiming point. Okay, let me get the thin parting tool. I have not sharpened this thing, so I'm not going to go in too deep. I'm just going to go in right outside that line, right there. Get going faster. That's not fast enough. It's about 375, and that's 580, just to make a little stopping point right there. Yep, that's good. Now, what I'm going to do is just start shaving that off. I'm going to use the rounded tool rest. I don't know, just maybe it'll help me a little bit. We'll see. So, here we go. I'm going to take this thing down like that. So I'm going to try to make this tool rest sort of imitate the curve I'm going to do. And yep, okay, good. Now let's get the David Ellsworth gouge and try to do a little whittling on this thing. Let's get it going here. I need it to go as fast as I can to give me a decent cut. I've got it well anchored in the chuck. Okay, now we're just going to do a little bevel cutting here. I'm swinging to give it just a little bit of a curve. I want to just see what I'm doing here, especially in regard to this chainsaw cut. Okay. Okay, it's looking pretty good. I'm not hitting this bottom edge. I don't want to hit that bottom edge if I can help it. That's fairly smooth. Okay, let's keep going. There's a CA glue mark there. And one more. Well, looks like I got to do one more to make this thing, get rid of that little groove. Okay, let's see where I am. Now that's about the right thickness for the rim, and I haven't touched the bottom there. That's good. But I also don't have much of a smooth curve here, so I'm going to smooth that out. Grain is going this way, so if I'm going to go with the grain, I come up from the bottom and down from the top. I'll come up from down from the top a lot. I'm going to go from the bottom and see what I can do with that. Do a little that's pretty rough, but nonetheless, it's not too bad. It's kind of getting a good shape to it. I think this little ridge needs to come down a bit, and that's got a lot of grain tear out. So the way David deals with grain tear out goes the other way, and I'm going to kind of smooth out that spot right there. You can look at the top edge of this form to just check the shape. Okay, we're getting there. Now, this has got awful grain tear out. And with the right curve, I can go right down into the base. I guess I'm going to have to sharpen this thing. So give me a minute to sharpen this. I think I'm going to have to do it. Taking the microphone off. The way I sharpened this, I had a little block with a 2-inch hole in it. So I just stick the gap down the hole, put that down on it firmly, tighten up the screw. That should be the right distance. Interruption, and if I can figure out how to edit these things, I'm going to edit that out, so you won't have to watch it and watch nothing really. Okay, now let me just kind of move this thing in a little bit, and I'm going to go the wrong way on the grain and not go into the chuck. Okay, here we go. So what I'm going to do is put the heel against it, turn the flute until it just starts to cut, and then move my body in the direction of the cut. Got a little now that should take off the grain tear out, and it's taking a good bit of it off. I've got some right there left, and this is not quite shaped the way I think it should be. So we do some more work on it. Heel against the blank, open it. Listen to that little tick, 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 tick as the chainsaw cut goes by. Ouch. Well, I put a little groove in it. Okay, let's do this again. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Take off that last little bit right there. Let's see where we are. See those little angel hair shavings you get with that? Nice. Okay, smooth. Good. That'll be ready for sanding, I think. Got some grain tear out right there. Darn it. I wonder if that's caused by the saw cut. Okay, well, let's try this now. Okay, now we're going to have to go for the inside. And normally for the inside, I would follow the outside in. I probably need to have an indicator hole for the depth, and I'll have to put that in. I'm going to take a little detailing gouge. This is a spindle gouge, just to make myself a little dip right there with a drill to go into. You hear that noise? That's because the tool rest moved on me. I didn't have it tight enough. So there we go. Now I'm going to get this out of the way. Grab the drill, which you will see I've used before, and I've got to get the depth here. I want it to go down to that's 5/16 of an inch. Should be 5/16 of an inch at the bottom. Excuse me. I'm out here in my garage and it's cold. Let me get the masking tape. Right there. I'm sighting across these two lips and going to the mark on the tape. Okay, about 400 RPM. Now let's get this thing going. Well, I'm already there. I am already there. Okay, that's fine. That lets me know where to bring the bottom over. Okay. This is a robust J-shaped tool rest. These robust are really good. This hardened steel thing along here, this will not dent and cause a hold up on your gouges. So I need to go in that way, kind of following the surface of the side, and that's not going to be so easy, but let's try to do it. And I'm going to go over here like this, come in that way, go fast, faster, a little bit faster. Okay, I'm looking at the bevel. Do it again if they're not going deep enough. I just want to stop it and look at what I've got here. Okay, we're getting there. Now you see how deep that cut is. It's got to go down to nothing on the bottom. Whoa. Well, the tool rest moved on me. Only, I was afraid I had gone through the deadgum bottom, but I have not. And this is pretty thin right there. I'll try not to go through. That's the main thing here. Okay, so far so good. Now I'm going to do a little measuring on it just to see how we stand. And to do that, David Ellsworth has got a wonderful little hoop of a piece of metal. I use a different thing, which is store-bought. That's about 1/2 inch across there. Let me measure it. Yes, a little less than 1/2 inch. So we stick this on the inside and look at the gap. So I'm thicker than I need to be. But I'm consistent, and I think I'm probably just going to leave it there. Okay, there we are, folks. I think I'm getting there. Let's put that away. And let's see if I need to. This is good and smooth along there. Across the bottom, it's not so smooth. I may have to get the finishing tool on that. This is looking good along there. The bottom can use a little touch. Let me get the finishing tool on that bottom. That's good. Now we'll just do a very, very, very light cut across there. Just to kind of smooth it up. I've created another problem right there. So, let's see what I can do with that. Yeah. Okay, one more time. Well, hopefully I can be able to sand that out with 80 grit. Now, I want to just take this off so you can see it better. I like to mark the #1 jaw. So if I have to put this bowl back on which I probably will, put it back on the lathe, I'll put it right back in that very same position. Now, here you see the saw mark and the resulting curve around the sides and the thickness of the top. So it's wet. This was a wet tree when it was cut, so you know, folks, I think I'm going to leave it at that and maybe just take the 80 grit. I'm going to let it dry for a while and take the 80 grit sandpaper and try to smooth out some of those little ridges in the bottom. I'm not unpleased with that. So let me just blow it out. If I have to put this on the lathe this way, I'll use the vacuum chuck. And this is such a handy thing, the vacuum chuck is. If you don't have one, I recommend it. So there it is, folks. I think that's going to be what I'm going to end up with a little sanding work on it. I'm going to put it in a paper bag. It's actually going to be double bagged for a week or so until I come back to it. The double bag just slows down the drying process. It may warp, but not crack. That's the whole thing. So I just don't want it to crack. Now look at that nice grain in there. A paper bag can breathe, and it will not ordinarily form mold. A plastic bag will hold the drying process to a minimum, but it will also allow some mold to form. So, okay, put this in a bag. That's it, folks. And so I hope you get something out of this, and maybe you'll do something of your own this way. So there you are. That's how how the form follows the wood, and in this case, that chunk of a chainsaw and a bit of bark over here is what I've got left. Okay, bye.